You may recall that turtle footage I captured recently. It was down here by the wood store, and this is what it was doing. So down there in that hole is a quantity, I don't know how many, of turtle eggs, which have been buried in this hole in the ground. Whatever happens to them, I guess just a matter of luck. At long last, the day has finally come where I am decanting the natural yeast Melomel from the demijohn into bottles via way of this jam making bag, but I'm sieving it because it's quite sedimenty. You may well have totally forgotten about this second batch of Melomel. Essentially, I harvested wild blackberries earlier in the year with the intention of having 2 batches of Melomel in time for Wintermas, which is our mid-winter festival, which corresponds with the winter solstice here in mid-June. The batch to which I had added extra yeast was ready in time, but this batch to which I added no extra yeast, so this has been fermented just with the natural yeast on the fruit, is ready just now, and we're in sort of mid-ish November now. So in a way this will be ready for actual Christmas, which is a positive, I suppose. I just had a little tablespoonful and it's absolutely delicious. It is radically different from the Melomel to which yeast was added. Is a lot more tart, and it doesn't have that sort of nasty yeasty flavour. So if I was to make Melomel again, I think I would definitely go the natural yeast route, even though it has taken significantly longer to make, maybe another, what does that, 4 or 5 months for fermentation to complete. Anyway, I will be bottling it up and setting it aside for Christmas. And just a quick recap, if you didn't know or can't remember what Melomel is. Melomel is a fruit-flavoured mead. So essentially it's made of water, honey, and in this case blackberries. And that is your basic Melomel.
If you've been watching this vlog for a while, you'll presumably recall the saga of the big tree. This is the big tree. It's a very large tree and very ancient. A couple of years ago, the farmer who owns this field here lit a fire to clear up some debris and accidentally set the tree on fire. It had been a hollow tree for quite a while, but it's now very hollow indeed. Part of it fell off, but it continued, most of it continued standing, but has progressively been falling over. As you can see, it's got this massive crack, and I noticed today the crack has got even wider. and it's still standing. Any day now, any week now, any month now, maybe even any minute now, it'll come toppling down, I think. But it means that every time we drive down the drive, it's a bit nerve-wracking. It is still alive up there, amazingly. But as you can see, I probably shouldn't get too close. I can hear it making creaking noises. As you can see, it's got this huge crack up through it now. It's amazing in a way it is still standing. It must be supported entirely by this bit here. That's a huge amount of weight.
The languid animals giving away the fact that summer is rapidly approaching and the temperatures have taken a upturn. So for the next few months it's highly unlikely temperatures will dip much below the high teens, day or night. There'll be the odd outlier, but that's what the future has in store, and we are on the cusp of summer, as I say. It's very late spring now, and part of my maintenance ritual is to keep the property nice and neat and tidy to help mitigate against the ravages of a bushfire as much as I can in a relatively passive way, by which I mean we don't stay and defend the house and we don't have a sprinkler system, so it's all about trying to keep things clear and tidy so that if a fire comes through, there's fewer opportunities for a fire to start. That aside, so that's what I have been up to and will be up to for the rest of summer. Basically, it's weekly lawn mowing at this time of year. If summer really picks up, the grass will die down and stop growing quite so vigorously. Currently we're enjoying that sort of typical sunshine and showers weather that you might experience in the UK where I'm from, except that it's quite a lot warmer. But there are some tasks which still need to be done, but not so frequently, and that's one of the tasks I'm going to be doing now, which involves heading up the drive and trimming the grass and the tea tree along the drive. And I will be using my much loved Husqvarna 129R brush cutter for this job, as well as the John Deere ride-on lawnmower, which recently you saw Will and I repair. This is probably my favourite tool on the property, at least petrol-powered tool, because it has been a marked improvement for this type of work than the battery Ryobi, which still has its place. I use it in the garden. It's gentler, so less likely to damage plants. This is a beast, but is what I need for this sort of work, especially chewing through the tea tree. So I'm going to fill it with fuel, put my strap on, head in the direction of where I'm going, and I thought you might like to briefly come along so I can show you in better detail. So this is how I'm rolling this afternoon. Whoever said that life on a 20-acre off-grid property wasn't glamorous? Anyway, the reason I'm dressed like this is because the brush cutter, being petrol powered, is a little bit noisy and it can kick up debris. So I'm protecting my face and my ears, but also this time of year is starting to get relatively bad for flies. Compared to some parts of the country that I've been to, our flies situation is relatively modest. I've been to places where it was so bad it'd make you want to tear your face off. A bit like the midges in Scotland. In fact, the midges are worse. Anyway, I just can't stand having flies crawling all on my face and by my mouth and by my eyes. So I'm like, if a garment or a solution exists to help mitigate against that, why would you not avail yourself of it? Luckily this will be quite a brief task. There's not too much to do, and as I say, the Husqvarna chews through it. It is currently strapped to my body, which does make it pretty easy to transport. In and of itself it's relatively heavy. Not terribly, but enough to be a bit annoying. But when you're strapped in with the harness, it's actually very easy to transport. So this is what I was referring to. Basically, this section here of the drive, there's a ditch partially in existence before, and sections like this, which I have dug out where they had become filled in. When it rains, because we're on clay, the rain does sit on the drive and does create these potholes, which Will and I struggle every year to try and repair. It's not possible to do anything about that at the moment because you can't really do it whilst they're full of water. We do have a system which works quite well that we trialled last year, involving a combination of gravel and cement. So I'm going to try it again this year, but perhaps improved even more. But that's for another time. So yes, unlike this side of the drive, which I can mow, because of the ditch, this side of the drive I can't get all the way to the edge. So it's not the end of the world, but every now and then, not on the weekly basis as I say I do the mowing, but every now and then I will come along with the brush cutter and tidy that up a bit. And the reason I do this in particular is just because should we be evacuating our property in an extreme emergency, I don't want flames lapping the side of the car if I can help it. So I try to keep the vegetation along the drive under control. I'm heading up to our gate and I will be working my way back to the house, and that's that little job done for maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and then I will do it all again.